Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk Luxury. I'm your host, Alex Brandau, a Nashville, Tennessee-based global luxury real estate specialist and someone who is endlessly curious about the people and stories behind refined experiences. On this show, we go beyond the surface, diving deep into the craft, culture, and character behind what luxury really means today. Welcome back to Let's Talk Luxury. I have a spectacular guest. This is going to be an amazing conversation, and I'm thrilled that she is choosing to share time with us today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erica Reitman. I'm so excited to be here. And I am an agency owner and an online course creator who lives full-time in Mexico City because I just was so dedicated to my own luxurious life that
Love that.
I decided to move to another country for it. And I'm a former interior designer together with my husband, Greg. We run our business together. That was a pandemic thing that happened. And I really just have a blast in my own life and with clients that we work with, helping with this idea that luxury comes in so many different forms, but I love to help people really get and understand that whatever that form is for you, you're really worth it.
No doubt. Amen. Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
Well, tell us about some of the favorite projects of the agency. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Again, I was a former interior designer and things sort of shifted when we made this move to Mexico. And I realized we needed to do something else there. And I figured out that, I had known it, but so much of being an interior designer is kind of coaching people and being a couples therapist, really helping people through the decision-making process. And so I kind of translated all of that as well as my background. A million years ago, I worked in marketing in corporate America. And we just kind of put it all together and created this agency as well as this kind of online course business that we've had. And so we have been able to work with the most incredible business owners, from people who were just starting out and did not have a business and weren't even sure what they wanted their business to be. They just had the tiniest kernel of an idea, to multi-million-dollar business owners, who really are just kind of fine-tuning things. We love to do things differently. So I kind of love to just break all of the rules. Which translates, with clients in the pieces that we create for them, the websites, the social media content.
Wow. Amazing. I can't wait. This is going to be an amazing conversation. I'm going to have to restrict myself not getting into the course. We'll talk about who the good people are for the course, but I'm so interested. That's super fun. What do you think one of the biggest misconceptions is in your industry?
Gosh, there are so many. I think it's been interesting for me because my industry, this sort of like online business space, it has been around for quite a while, but I would say in the last 5 years or so is really when it's been front and center for people. And I've been there the whole time. So it has been interesting to kind of watch as things evolved and changed. And in the beginning, it was dead easy to find customers and sell stuff and connect and really get yourself out there. And things have changed quite a bit. So for me, one of the biggest misconceptions is that everyone out there is looking to scam you and try and just separate you from all of your money in order to just run this worldwide scam that you're doing. And there are some people like that out there. For me, I have just been blown away because I'm a consumer as well of online courses and different programs and podcasts and things like that. And I just have been blown away that I'm an old lady. So when I was growing up, your choices were go to college, go to school, take a class, read a book. That was kind of it. And I just think we live in this incredible world now where we all have access to everything, anything that you want to learn about, anything that you want to do in your life, any shift you want to make in your business, you can take a course, you can watch some YouTube videos. So I don't know. There's definitely a piece of it that I think I get it. There are some people out there who are trying to do that. But I think for the most part, and certainly what my husband and I are trying to do, is just connect with people in a way that we wouldn't be able to otherwise, because I just would never meet any of these people and they would never meet me.
I love that so much. I'm the same, very much the same way in my world, that it's about the people. And like you said, luxury means different things to different people, but it's about the people. that you
Yeah.
get to connect with. And for me, not in a weird, like not Hannibal Lecter way, but getting to, demystify them and kind of figure
Yeah.
out what makes them up and what their goals are and why. And that's the joy, the true joy of it. And then helping them get there. So I think
Yeah.
I love this one. I think this is the first time I've ever asked this question. This is new
Okay.
for 2026, but I think it's going to resonate with you. Walk us through something that makes it truly luxury versus just expensive.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it honestly has nothing to do with the price of something. It is about the feeling that it
Mm-hmm.
for you. And that's again why I always stress this is so different for so many people. So I live in Mexico City, and when we were kind of putting together our last apartment, I invented this catchphrase that people in my social media audience really picked up on and loved. And I was basically saying that I was trying to merch my life in this new space. And what I meant by that was everywhere I looked in my apartment, every time I turned around, in every corner, I wanted to feel like I was inspired,
Mm,
that I was in a space that was truly beautiful.
mm.
And yes, that relates to art and furniture, but I was even thinking about things like, why do all sponges have to be orange or purple? I don't want an orange or purple sponge.
Yes.
And I just found that there were so many things in my life that I had just gotten used to being ugly and not being inspiring. And
Mm,
yes, I had to go through a lot of extra effort to find the black sponges on Amazon
right.
that
Yes.
weren't that bright color and screaming at me. But again, I said to myself, I am worth that time and effort and energy. I mean, sponges aren't very expensive. So, sure, you could do this and spend
Sure.
a lot of money. But honestly, for me, it really was just taking the time to make sure that I was treating myself as the highest version of me, what that looks like
Uh,
in my mind. And that is just the purest form of luxury. Even I'm sitting here with my wine glass of coffee. I don't even
fabulous.
drink wine, but I have beautiful wine glasses for all my other drinks because why not take the time to make your drink beautiful?
Yes. And the straw. Come on. It
Mhm.
matches. I noticed.
Bruh.
Well done. Well done. Well, I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, that is something I'm a big fan of. Like, if it doesn't feel right, you got to tap into
Yeah.
that emotion. It's not just plug and play. I've had a client one time who moved 20 times in 9 years.
Oh my gosh.
And they got to where it was very modular in their life. They knew they would buy a truckload from rooms to go, and they knew it was modular, and they would literally have it lined up. They'd get it 60% off because they'd buy a whole truckload, but they were never connected to that. They brought the things that they were connected to that were
Yeah.
truly luxurious and truly that feeling. And I love that answer. And it's the best answer we've ever had on the podcast. Also, the first answer. Both things can be true. Both things can be true. Erica,
Oh
tell
my
us about maybe an extraordinary experience or piece or service that you've encountered in your career.
Well, I think when I was kind of transitioning from becoming an interior designer to building this, online business that we have now, I was trying to soak up as much information as I could. And I came across a woman who I saw talking on Instagram who was doing something similar to what I wanted to do. And she was sharing that she had just launched her course and in 1 week had made $140,000
Wow.
with this specific course. And it resonated so much with me because that was my salary at my last corporate job back when I had a corporate job.
Of course.
And I thought to myself, this woman in 1 week made as much money as I would make in 1 year working 60 to 80 hours a week with people that I sometimes hated, doing things that I often hated, not getting the satisfaction or the recognition or so many things that, we're each looking for in our own work. And the idea of doing that at the time felt absolutely insane to me. I did not think that this woman was lying, but it was something that felt so out of reach for me at the time that it almost bounced off my brain in terms of information. But I held on to that idea and thought to myself, like, how amazing if I one day was able to do the same thing. And so ultimately, I decided to work with this woman and learn a bit more about what she was doing and how she had kind of put her whole business together. And 8 months later, I had a launch that in 1 week didn't quite make 140, but I made $100,000 in a week,
Wow.
which was close to what I had done when I had my corporate job. And it just for me was probably the beginning of a big shift in my mindset when it came to money and luxury and what was possible for
Sure.
myself. So that for me really kind of kicked things off. And I still hold on to that memory. Like it's something that's so special to me and has been honestly, my course is called CEO Millionaire You. And it really is related to that particular experience because I needed to reach a point where I could start to think of myself as this higher version of myself that did not exist before it happened. Most people wait to have those feelings and to embody all that that includes until they get to the place. And what I figured out kind of accidentally is you need to do the opposite. You need to have those feelings now and try and embody that version of yourself
Mm,
now.
mm.
And that's how you bring it about way quicker.
I love that. That's well
Yeah.
said too. Well,
Thank
and
you.
congrats on that amazing
Thank
success.
you.
It's nice to really hear that transparency of being motivated by this and then I did it and built it and not to this level, but close enough. Let's open the door into the course.
Oh.
What's the latest? How long has it been going? Is it still the same version?
So the story that I just shared with you actually was about another course. My
Oh,
CEO Millionaire You course is newer. So
got
that's
it.
something that came about in the last couple of years. And it came about honestly because I love to share on stories and on social media. And I was often sharing these sorts of, little mindset tidbits all the time. And
Yes.
my audience kept saying to me, like, why don't you do a mindset course? Do a mindset course for us. So finally, I decided to do one and it's been incredible. I mentioned to you that I like to do things differently. And
Sure.
so before I did this course, I really thought to myself, how can I do this in a way that's really a pattern interruption? Because I just was not down for hours of like me sitting on a Zoom recording, just going over loads and loads of information and you tuning out and feeling bored. And I just
Yeah.
didn't want it to feel like homework for anyone. So we shot this, I call it an online course. It kind of feels like a Netflix TV show. I
Yeah.
hired a whole crew. Every video is a little different. All the videos are less than 10 minutes. We shot it all around Mexico City. So in my apartment, walking my dog on the street in all different spots. And the whole thing is an hour and a half. You can watch it all in 90 minutes, but it doesn't feel like you're sitting down and doing homework.
Hmm.
It really is fun to watch. And yeah, we just did a sale on it and it's still around and it's still something that I'm just so grateful that it continues to kind of keep going because really what I'm talking about is your mindset, your money mindset, how you're thinking about your own life and your business and what you're doing and how you show up in the world. And my goal it really is to help people wherever they're starting from elevate and really tap into that. Again, I keep saying, but that higher version of for me, I immediately think of CEO Millionaire Me. How is she showing up? What does she think about this problem that I have turned into a 4-alarm fire? And honestly, it would barely be on her radar.
Hmm.
So that just like snaps me into, this higher version of Erica that just is very unbothered by most things.
Well, that's powerful, and so few people can do it. Somebody recently shared with me that the balance of the world is walking around with a second or third grade emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And doesn't that show why we end up with a lot of conflict?
Yeah.
And I love that you're doing the same, that you're continuing to elevate and reframe to go, hold on. Am I using my second and third grade emotional intelligence to,
Right.
to be frustrated, or am
Yeah.
I using my millionaire CE mindset and emotional intelligence? So yeah,
Yeah.
well said. What do you think in the past either 5 or 10 years, I would say, that has changed as far as the definition of luxury?
Is interesting. I am always curious about marketing and social media and culture and how that is all related. And I think going back to this idea that I was sharing before about how many more people I've been able to connect with, I think it's interesting looking through that lens as well at luxury and our definition of it and how much more we each are exposed to. It might be that I don't know, 10 years ago, I'm trying to think, like, did I know anyone that actually had an Hermes Birkin bag in my life that I could hold and look at and play with? But
Right.
now I can go on to TikTok and do that. So I don't exactly know what the answer is, but I feel like it has changed so much because of that. And because so many more of us are sharing and talking about things and getting exposed to things that we wouldn't have before. But really, the biggest takeaway for me with this whole idea of luxury is that sure, we're all going to agree that, again, Hermes Birkin bag is pretty luxurious. However, there is a definition of luxury that you get to define on your own and create for yourself that really has nothing to do with a label or a price tag or anything like that. Because truly, when I go to my sink and I see my black sponge that was $3, that just feels so much better to me than having to look at that ugly orange or purple sponge. And it really feels luxurious to me. This glass with my coffee in it really does feel luxurious to me. And neither one of those things cost a lot of money.
Mm. I love that. That's so well said, and it's true. It's both personal and that actual emotional connection to it, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a commodity, and like, yeah, you've got it. It doesn't matter if you didn't want or look or be really work for that Hermes Birkin bag. It would just be like a Bic pen, like whatever. They're
Yeah.
everywhere. Instead of, oh my gosh, like I really wanted that. I've looked after it. It's important to me, connected to me. Totally get that, and it's so true. I mean, we run into that in the real estate world. It's housing and what the approach feels like. No one
Yeah.
ever talks about their approach, but man, if you think about what it feels like when the tires hit the driveway, when you pull into that house, it changes everything. You never think twice. You're like, man, I am so proud that I live here and this is right. And that's the right one. You have the battle of logic and emotion that's in the decision
Yeah.
making, and you work right through that ultimately. But yeah, I love that you're being really transparent about that black sponge
Yeah.
is truly luxury. But to someone else, like they could care less. It doesn't matter. If they're in Miami, they want orange sponges, probably. I mean,
Right.
or whatever
Right.
particular market. We're not offending our Miami audience and listeners, but if you don't, sorry. Maybe you want purple. Cool, that's available too. Whatever color you want, they're available in sponges
Love it.
and available on Amazon. But
Yeah.
truly, I know exactly and can connect, with that. There's a person in town that I know that has 5 exotic cars. He's got a
Mhm.
McLaren, 2 Ferraris, Lamborghini, and he's under 30. And I'm like, okay, one of these all are super exclusive and
Yeah.
super unique and truly rare air exotic cars. And yet, like, you can only drive one at a time. You got to have a
Right.
favorite. Like, we're just collecting them like they're
Yeah.
matchbox. It's just so interesting.
I mean, I think that's an interesting point, though, that a piece of this for me is also getting honest with yourself about what matters to you and
Yeah.
being okay with that. I mean, in a million bazillion years, would never buy 5 exotic cars because that means nothing to me. But I will only fly first class. Like, I cannot get onto a plane and deal with all that you have to deal with. Like, it's just too much for my head. It makes my brain feel like it's going to explode. It gives me anxiety. And so for me, that's worth it. Whereas a lot of people would think, like, I want to get to the place and spend my money there or get a nicer hotel or do something like that. But if you can just get honest with yourself about what's important to you and then just give 0 Fs what anyone else thinks about it, I think that is really an important skill too. And I don't think most people are very good at it.
No question. Right. Well, again, that goes to the second or third grade emotional
Yeah.
capacity and intelligence that they're stuck there and doing that. And it's an interesting thing. I know exactly what you mean. We just got back and talking about I had a lunch yesterday with the founder that's founded Marquis Jets and then now
Okay.
Wheels Up and Net
Yeah.
Jets, and talking to him about that and all the things that they do with their clientele. And that's the same kind of thing, like having
Yeah.
the plane ready to go when they go. we got connected because a client reached out to us to see a $6 million house in Nashville. And they said, hey, we're going to meet our plane. Can we meet you at 2:45? And thank goodness, I recognized that was the qualifier that they could afford it because they had a plane waiting on them.
Yeah.
Not going to the airport 2.5 hours early and all the things that you have to do. But I know exactly what you mean. As you make that climb and you're not going back.
Yeah.
You make that climb into economy plus and into business class and then into first. You're like, yeah, this is the priority and the way to go.
Yeah.
So, I love that. Let's see. This one is interesting about exclusivity. Is
Okay.
exclusivity important versus accessibility in today's luxury market in goods or services?
It's interesting. Again, I would say that kind of falls into that category of stuff that maybe it's important to you, maybe it's not. I mean, I would say in general that exclusivity feels like it's not that important to me, but is that really true? I don't know, is first class exclusivity or, I belong to Soho House.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's one of those things where I just don't ever think to myself like how amazing and exclusive this place. It just feels like a nice place to be. So, but I think genuinely for some people that is really important. Accessibility, that kind of flies in the face of luxury just in and of itself, just because oftentimes things that are considered luxury are just, at least from a price perspective, not as accessible to everyone. So it's such a personal decision. I mean, I try and do things in my own business. For example, if we're selling something that is quite expensive or we have a service that our agency offers, I do often like to offer scholarships for people if they want to be a part of it and it just doesn't quite work out for them. So I think it's amazing to do things like that if you can and if that's something that's important to you. But I don't get I mean, a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions about this and can get real riled up in one direction or another. And I guess my approach is if this particular company, offer, thing isn't a great fit for you or you don't like, how exclusive it is or I mean, that's just who's going to get upset that something is too accessible. I guess there are people out there. I mean, hello, look at this United States right now. I'm
Right.
sure there's somebody out there. So yeah, it doesn't really bother me that much either way, but I do think it's an interesting topic. And again, I think looking through that lens of social media as well is such a big opportunity for us to see, again, maybe places that we wouldn't normally see on our own or trips, or there's a lot of people that I follow who are living lives that just look super fun to me. And I like to kind of watch and see where's their next trip and where are they going shopping and what are they going to do next. So
I love that.
yeah.
It's funny. I was talking to a friend and mentioning socials. Like, there's a very polarizing guy that I follow on socials that I love and think is hilarious. He is in a different town. He has 300 Mondays in a row done this one thing that's his feature in his socials, which is very, very unique, hyper local to his city. And I was talking to a friend who's from that city. And he said, it's so polarizing. He goes, he's like, it's only men and anyone from an hour around his market that get his humor and his sarcasm and all this. My wife watches, she's like, I hate that guy. She's like, I don't want to see that. It's not funny. And I'm like, it's hilarious. And she's like, no, it's not funny at all. And I'm like, she's just not interested, which is fine. Like, that's great. Like, we are all have our own lens to look through. And yet that micro market focus that he did it. And I love this. And I see some of this in you. He's been doing it for so long and he didn't care if anybody ever watched it. I guarantee you on the first 200 Mondays when he did this series, he had less than 200 views. But then all of a sudden it hit and it got really big and has a lot of followers. But you could see he'd been doing the exact same thing, the exact same way for the exact same folks. And he knew it's the old thing. If you build it, they will come. There's some of that, but it's very interesting that you can just about reach anybody. I'll share a small diversion here to that, to exclusivity and reachability. Everyone is accessible. And I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients are looking for not accessibility. How can they have a barrier, whether they're a public figure and people want to get to them, or they're high net worth and they want protection from people they may not want to be. So all these things come into the equation. Well, I watched a show One of my favorite documentaries to recommend is called Supermensch. It's about a guy, and then it was done by Mike Myers, the comedian. And
Okay.
he's a friend of his. The guy's name is Shep, and he has lived one of the most amazing lives of anyone ever. Well, we happened to watch it, and my family and I happened to vacation frequently in Hawaii, in Maui specifically. Well, it happens to show a shot in Maui of Shep's house. And I was so moved by this. He has a very interesting mindset, perspective. He's lived a very abundant, open life. And I won't ruin it for anyone that cares to watch it. Interestingly enough, we discovered that he was there. I looked while we were there. I said, hey, I've sent him a note on LinkedIn. He had 127 followers. And I had no second degree connections, no first degree connections, only third degree connections for 127 followers in the world.
Oh my gosh.
I sent him a note. He answered. I said, can we just have
Wow.
coffee? I didn't offer coffee in a wine glass. That would have been awesome. With a custom straw,
Right.
much like you. Well done. An accessorized straw, no, nonetheless. But I acknowledged that. And he was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I'm on island, yet I'm out of pocket for a while. Sorry. And I was like, no sweat. I was here. It was worth a shot.
Yeah.
No big deal. But then he called me,
Oh my
and he
goodness.
called and we talked for like an hour and a half, and it was the most amazing thing. Again, exclusivity yet accessibility blended. It's all relative. It's all relative to that. So
Yeah. And my guess is most people wouldn't take the chance of doing what you did because they wouldn't want to bother him or get rejected or be a pest or any of those things. But look at what happened.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the key. As I have a very unique client base and a very unique luxury base of, you just never know. And one of the first questions I talk to clients about is, hey, how private do we want this? We just
Yeah.
had a client, Sal, who's a very, very public figure. And at the end, I asked, I was like, can we promote the fact that we did this? And he's like, after I'm not there, I don't care. You can tell everybody. So it was really cool, but we kept the secret and the privacy, and we had to do that. We've had Hollywood stars move here to Nashville, and they ask them on the front end at hello, how private does this need to be? Because we need to know right now. We will do it in such a way that no one knows. We know how to do it. We've done it before. It's just a matter of, we need to know today so we can control. We had a client, again, sorry, sidebar, but
No.
we had a CFO of a public traded company. When
Mhm.
he was house hunting, he was not here, but they were moving to Nashville, but it hadn't been acknowledged. We had to get absolute privacy at every showing that he attended, and all the cameras had to be turned off. No
Wow.
one could be present, like all these things. And it took really, really good relationships and explanation to let people into these 6, 7, and $8 million homes that they're not accustomed to being told what to do, but they had to be explained that it would cost hundreds of millions, if not billions, if this got out. And so there was a very, very high discretion. Ultimately, we were successful and got him one, but that's how things have changed in the luxury world on our end, is that the
Yeah.
next thing you know, you've got thermostats that have microphones on them and they can track you. And so
Right.
you got to deal with that. Okay, back to it. Tell us and describe some of the more intricate or time sensitive processes behind some of your services.
I mean, I think from when I think about clients that we work with at our agency, most of the time it's very specific to what they need. So there are certain things that we do that we love and that, we're known for making marketing pieces and websites and stuff like that. But each person is so different that timing is going to be incredibly different depending on who we're working with. With the courses, it's so cool because you could go right now, buy one today, and then by this evening, be all up on all of my tricks and different ideas in terms of mindset stuff. So that's really cool. But I think there's nothing that's coming to mind that's particularly time sensitive or super intricate.
How about this? How do you like to balance tradition with innovation?
Oh, that's a great one. I'm kind of innovation obsessed. I
Oh,
am known the early adopter amongst my family and my friends. Even though I'm an old lady, I hang out on TikTok all the time,
yeah.
know all the trends. I love to kind of stay on top of things. So I'm definitely much more of an innovation person. I'm obsessed with AI. Tradition, I think, for sure has a place. And I think especially when you're thinking of luxury, I think it's fun to kind of attach that as well to some brands that have been around for a while and do things a certain way. But for me, I'm innovation obsessed. Can't
I
get
love
enough
that.
of it.
Well, tell us about some of the trends that you're seeing and or adopting. Since you're at the tip of the spear, share with us.
Yeah. Well, it's been really cool to see how much social media has changed and is changing. One of the biggest trends I'm seeing and that I am participating in as well is this idea of creating a more analog type life. I think it's so funny. Again, I'm 52, so I'm Gen X, and I grew up mostly without the internet. That was something that came along later in my life. But Gen Z now seems to be obsessed with journaling and flip phones and knitting and all of these things that don't really have anything to do with social media. And so it's fun to kind of see that right here. I have my journal because I
Oh,
have one too now. Do you have one as well?
yeah, of course.
Love it, love it. Yeah. I pulled out my old file of facts, like, it feels super fun. So, the crazy thing is people are talking about this on social media, showing what they're doing in their analog life, but sharing on social media. So, again, I think it's the dichotomy that's so fascinating and interesting, but that's a trend. I also see too this has been happening for a while, but things that are less polished pieces of social media are showing if you're a content creator. I mean, this has happened to me. Anytime I don't plan anything, I look like a mess, I'm talking about something weird, I've said to myself 2 or 3 times, I don't think anyone is going to care about this. Those are always the posts that people get most excited about. So I think too, social media has turned into, which is, I guess, both a good thing and a bad thing, but almost like you're hanging out with friends,
Mhm.
And so the unplanned kind of FaceTime type content seems to be doing really well. So that's something that I've seen a lot too. But those are the two things that popped into my head. And I think for 2026, both will continue to kind of be front and center.
No doubt. I one of the best social pieces we've ever done was me talking about how an ice machine showed up at my house, and I had
Lucky
no idea.
you.
I was walking the dog, and it had shown up, and my wife had found it. And I mean, it was just this whole thing, and it's amazing. It's a great ice. It makes the Sonic ice, the nuggets, and that's actually because of that story, and it got so much attention that people cared so much about, are they chip ice people or flake ice people or top hat or cubed or any of these
Yeah.
various things. It became part of our question now. I'm like, what kind of ice person are you? And that's a different elevation. That's luxury. Tell me about the ice. Like what? And there are people that are like, I don't care. Ice doesn't matter. Just keep it cold. Like I'm not even thinking about that. And there are others that will go down and will fight you.
As an ice obsessed girly, I have to say, if I ever got a nugget ice machine just randomly delivered, that would be the highlight of my life. And when I think about my most luxurious kitchen that I could possibly have, I will have 3 or 4 different types of ice makers,
Yes.
ice makers that make different types of ice depending on how I'm feeling. That is my dream.
I love that. Me too. Let me add to that because I'm going to take that and we will have like 4 different ice machines
Good.
in the said dream kitchen. And in my household, we will have a condiment fridge that is condiment only
Ooh,
with
that's
dedicated
good.
spots for the different ones, whether it's Kewpie or the taco sauce
Yeah.
or the ponzu or the chili sauce or the tiger sauce. We have all the sauces. Like we will
That's
have
amazing.
a dedicated, and it'll be a vertical, it'll be a column in there. So that's on my dream list too.
And then you need a special cabinet for all the different little beautiful condiment cups
Yes.
and things
Yes.
that people can use. Yeah.
Yes. All the ramekins. Yes. Well
Yes.
said. Well said. Oh, we're doing that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about the next one, how social media changed. So we knew some of that. What do you think one of the next frontiers in luxury is that people aren't talking about yet?
I mean, as you say that, like, I'm curious how AI is going to play into all of this just because I see it in every part of my life now. I'm not sure if you're a fan or not,
Oh,
but
yeah. Huge.
okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think within the past year or so have just gone from this place of like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know how to use this. I'm not sure what this is, to I can't imagine life without it, which is just so, so crazy. And so, yeah, I wonder how that's going to kind of factor into the world of luxury. And I don't know the answer to it, but it's just hard for me to believe that AI isn't going to be infiltrating every part of our life in some way or another. So I think it'll be interesting to see. But to me, that feels like that has to be the next frontier.
Did you explore several platforms, or do you have a favorite rise to the top?
So I typically, this is not going to be a popular opinion, but I'm going to explain myself to you. I write a ton, and I get that most people who are using AI for writing prefer Claude. However, with my chat GPT, I have such deep, specific custom instructions that my chat GPT now, who I have named, by the way, Viv, I call her Viv. Viv knows me so well, and I have trained her so well to sound like me that more than any other copywriter I have ever spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on, she can now write like me so well that I'm just often using ChatGPT. So I need to explore more. I have used Claude. I think right out of the gate, if you don't have custom instructions, Claude's probably a bit better at sounding a little bit more natural and normal. But because I have trained Viv, she just hits it out of the park. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Many people don't realize, and I just rant. So I'm a Claude guy. I and even a good friend of mine who listens calls me a Claude snob because I'm like, Claude's the best. Stop it.
Yeah.
And the reality is, today, as of this recording, different funds, different platforms have different strengths. And Claude and Anthropic can be really powerful. I aligned with that because of a friend who really encouraged me to get into it. Now, our company, Aperture, and the founder, Robert Palmer, has really advocated for the agents to really lean in. So we did. For the first time in almost 20 years, I changed the way I did my business plan. I did it through and with Claude, but I, at the end of it all, wanted a one-pager to put up, right? Because I've been putting a one-pager up on the wall, the big poster size. And Claude is not good at that. It glitched. I spent 30 minutes on it and finally had to pivot to my staff and said, hey, put this in something else. And they put it in Gemini and it's gorgeous. I mean, it's 4-color, it's dynamic, it's an infographic, like it's fantastic. I'm going to actually frame it and put it behind museum quality glass. Like it's that good and to be able to use it. But I could not agree with you more. I would think there's a very small percentage of people that are engaging it, but I'm very pleased to hear that you are and that I'm also Gen Xer, but also have some Y and millennial tendencies.
Yeah.
But it's neat that I realized as I was going through it last night, I've been in it for a minute, more than I thought. And it gets more comfortable and you get more familiar with the right prompts and the right framework of act like this, act like a copywriter. Here's who I write. Here's some things that I can do. I cut and pasted a very complicated system for our business into Claude for the business plan. And it took it like that. It's like, it was made by Erica. She said, do this. It's a 52-point plan. We will acclimate it and put it into your plan and put it into your calendar. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. So huge fan of that. And I couldn't agree more. And I agree with you that that's there, that's going to be part of it, is that is becoming luxury, that it can really refine. But I will say, and more in a public warning, that I don't know if you experience this, but for me at least, I find that it's about 80% accurate is about the number. You got to watch it. You can't just plug and play.
Yeah. And I find too, the more complicated or complex you kind of get with whatever it is that you're working on. And so, for example, in our business, there are many pieces, even just with one course. There's an email sequence, there are ads, there's a sales page, there's all these different pieces. And I have actually seen more and more how I feel like it's almost getting worse, which is maybe, I don't know if that makes sense, but I am often having to say, like, what the hell are you talking about? You just literally made up all of the pieces of this program that don't exist after we've been talking about it for 25 minutes. Yeah. Viv has gotten in trouble recently for
No
that too.
doubt. You gotta guide them. Mine, but
Yeah.
Claude got snippy with me the other day, and I was like, "You can change your attitude. Like, don't get frustrated with me." I'm like, "Are you kidding? Like, don't excuse you. You know, start over." What is one luxury experience or item that you think everyone should experience at least once?
I mean, not to repeat myself, but first class is really so incredibly amazing. It really, really is. But with that, I want to say too, just to connect this to the mindset stuff a bit, part of my CEO Millionaire You program is this activity that I have people do where they take themselves out on a CEO Millionaire date every month. And so the idea there is you choose the spot. I like to choose a vibey hotel or a really beautiful coffee shop or something like that. I like to dress up for it again, whatever that means for you. Um, and then I specifically share journal prompts and things like that, just so that you really can focus on some of these higher level thoughts and ideas and
Mm,
goals of
mm,
yours. And so, first class is not accessible for everyone. So, I do think there are ways that we can do things like that, like taking yourself out on this special date and really just like saying to yourself and the universe, I am worth this time and effort. And here's what I'm going to do. And just practicing being this person that you want to be, or practicing being someone who spends time in this space that you wish you went to more. It is so powerful. I know it might sound silly to some people, but I swear to you, there is something that happens in your brain
mm,
because your brain often can't tell the difference between the truth and a lie.
mm.
So again, having those feelings, embodying, whatever it is that you think is going to be present for you when you are this highest version of yourself, it's fun to practice it.
Definitely. There's value in I was listening to James Clear recently, the Atomic Habits author,
Yeah.
and he was saying there's value in if you just drive to the gym, touch the door, and go home, you're
Yeah.
building a habit. You're saying
Yeah.
yes. You know, if you did one push-up, you did the exercise. You're tricking your brain into it. And so there's value. Yes, you wasted time just going back and forth, but you didn't. You're creating the habit. And
Yeah.
then you'll recognize people. If you go to the gym door 30 times, the next thing is like, I saw that person 10 times.
Yeah.
And now it's a friend. And now you end up
Yep.
working out, and all of a sudden it lowers the barriers because the barrier of walking away from it. And that's what you're talking about is
Yeah.
creating that space, being in that space
Yeah.
and manifesting it too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Last question. In your book of life, what
Yeah.
is your current chapter and what's it called?
My current chapter is called the Do-Over chapter.
Mm,
About a year ago, my husband and I decided we were living in Mexico City and we thought, what? Our time here is finished. We're going to move back to the United States and start this next chapter of our lives. Well, we didn't last a year and decided that it just wasn't a fit for us and that we were going to come right back to Mexico City. Now, when I tell this to people, oftentimes the thought is, you did what? Like you spent all that money and time and effort and energy to leave just to come back? And I say yes every single time. And I am so thankful that my husband and I are just not the sort of people that settle.
mm,
I think most people would probably stay for 5 or 10 years and be miserable most of the time
mm,
because they had made the decision and they had spent the money and they had done all the things. And either they didn't want to feel like a failure, they didn't want other people to look at them like that. And I just thought back to this time when we were kids, and there was this concept of the do over. We all knew what it was.
sure.
If you wanted to take another opportunity to do the thing, play the game, whatever it was, you just scream do over, and everyone knew that you were allowed to do that. Now, sometimes people pushed it a few too many times, but there wasn't any failure feelings associated with it. Like we all did it at some point or another, and it was just an opportunity to try again. And oftentimes when you did try again, you got it the second or third time. And so I just feel like us as adults need to do that a little bit more and
Mm,
not attach so much shame or failure with it. Sometimes we just need a do-over.
no doubt. I love that answer. Well done.
Thank you.
Keep doing the do-over. Well, is there any closing thoughts you want to share or
I
got it
just
all out?
so much fun.
Yeah.
I do podcast interviews all the time, but this was just such a fun one, and I
Yeah.
loved everything that we chatted about. So thank you so much for including me.
Well, thank you for that affirmation. As you're building something like this, you get a lot of questions and, oh, you don't have enough of this, enough of that, and
Yeah.
you've been fabulous. And so
Oh,
thank you. If people want to connect with you for your course or your agency, what's your best platform and how should they reach out?
they can find me either on TikTok or on Instagram, and it's just my first name and my last name. So it's EricaReitman.
Boom. Done. There it is.
Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Luxury. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow, rate, and share this with someone you know that would like to know more about the finer things in luxury and how things are done differently. I'm Alex, and I'll catch you next time as we keep defining what luxury really means.